From Tipsy Steer and High Pines, welcome to Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck on the Gopher Sports Network from Learfield. Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck is brought to you by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com. Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck is also brought to you by Tipsy Steer and High Pines, located at County Road C in Snelling, proud sponsor of Gopher Football. And by Cub, the official grocer of Gopher Athletics. Now, here's the voice of the Gophers, Mike Grimm.
And we're off and running another edition of Gopher Football Weekly every Tuesday noon until 1. And we are at Tipsy Steer and High Pines in Roseville. Mike Grimm along with Justin Gard and the head coach PJ Fleck. 4 straight wins for this Golden Gopher football team. It's a packed house, and we've got a guy holding the bowling pin out there, and I don't know what that means, but it's awful fun to see, right?
That probably means we're going bowling.
Oh, that's it. Good. He was all over it, yeah.
I'm not very smart.
Way to connect the dots there.
Yeah, good job. Smarter than I thought maybe we were all going bowling after the show or something. I wasn't sure.
We could do that.
Yeah,
it's good competition.
But yeah, it's nice, right? 4 straight wins. And I thought a really good, hard-fought battle Saturday that you guys made winning plays, and I thought kind of controlled the game from really the opening kickoff.
Yeah, I mean, we had to be able to turn, touchdowns into field goals at times. We had to settle for some field goals, but I thought Dragan Kesich really bounced back 4 for 4. The last time I think you went 4 for 4 was our win against Iowa last year when we beat them 12-10 with 4 straight field goals. I thought he bounced back really well. He would have liked to be able to finish a lot of those drives in the end zone, but you got to give Illinois a lot of credit. They're a really good defensive football team, really good football team. And I kept looking at the scoreboard, and you look at the rushing stats and the passing stats and the time of possession, and it was just almost identical the entire game.
Yep.
2 very similar teams, that are pretty tough, that go out there and play very similar styles of football. And it was a really good Big Ten afternoon football game, and that could have went either way.
Yeah, and even the way the game unfolded, right? You guys go down, kick a field goal. They go down and kick a field goal. You pop a run of, I think, 29 yards. They pop a run of 42. I mean, even the games kind of, the start at least, mirrored each other there for a while.
It did, and that's what happens when 2 evenly matched teams get together in the Big Ten. And I think if the story came down to, we had 2 takeaways on defense. We had no turnovers on offense. When you're in a game that's that tight and you're in November, it's going to come down to the turnovers and takeaways, and we were able to win 2-0 in that, and I think that's the difference in the game.
What was the key to running the ball as well as you did pretty much all day?
Well, I think you got to give credit to our O-line and our tailbacks and our tight ends and wide receivers on the outside, Max getting us into the right play. I thought they just stayed on their blocks, and with Darius, he's a really patient runner, and if you just stay on your block, keep running your feet, he'll find a way to be able to find a hole, off the backside and squirt through. And I thought everybody did a good job of finishing blocks. Not perfect, could have been better, but I thought that we had a really good balance of throwing and running. And
doing that with a bit of a makeshift offensive line in the sense that you had guys shuffling around. You had Tyler Cooper, who was out, so your right guard switched to left guard, your right tackle switched to right guard, and then you had a first-time starter at right tackle in Phillip Daniels, and Quinn Carroll moves inside, and Beers moves from right to left. So pretty good collaboration there, given that I'm doubting that Fiveson practiced a lot up until the start of that week.
Yeah, we did it in training camp. We did it in spring ball a little bit, but when you kind of settle in and you kind of wait for Phillip Daniels to really kind of take on the role that he's taking on now, and when he's ready to play, he'll play, and he'll play more often and more consistently. I think he took a huge step at the right time. Put him in there in his first start. I think he did great. I think Quinn is way more comfortable at right guard. I think that's where his position in the NFL and his natural position is. He's been able to help us the last 2 years by playing right tackle for Phillip's development to kind of reach where Phillip can actually go out there and help us. On the left side, with Cooper out, Ashton Beers has been playing right guard for us, so we moved him over. And I think it was a good move and a good transition. The guys are working really hard. You've got to find a way in November. Everybody's beat up. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's got injuries. And you got to find a way to put things together. And guys have opportunities to play, and they've got to answer the bell. And I thought they did a good job of doing that.
I know you talked a little bit about Quinn yesterday at the press conference, but we probably haven't brought him up in maybe a year and a half or 2 years. And that's a good thing, right? When you're not bringing up an offensive lineman necessarily. But I'm just amazed that he's been playing tackle for you for a couple of years, like you say, to help out. out. Guard is probably where he wants to play if you gave him some true serum, and maybe you don't even need to. He's probably told you, but he's been at tackle because you needed him there. And even watching him with Phillip on the sideline from where I sit, you could tell he was like helping him out, coaching him up, giving him tips. I just can't say enough about just what Quinn has done the last couple of years for you guys.
Yeah, Quinn's a captain for us, and you talk about an outstanding leader. I mean, he's been a 3-year starter for us. Went to Notre Dame for 3 years, and then, got smart, came back home, and which was great, and got him playing and starting. And I think he's really just scratching the surface of how good he can be as he keeps moving forward into his career at the next level. But right now, he is very, very selfless. He's a legacy player. His dad, Jay, played at University of Minnesota as a tight end and had a good career. But I think his best football is still ahead of him. He's a great leader in the fact that he brought Phillip Daniels along throughout that entire game. It's like Top Gun, never leave your wingman. And that's his wingman for the game. And you got a 6-year senior and you got a redshirt freshman. And they couldn't be more opposite in their development already, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And Quinn does such a great job of relating to everybody in that room and bringing everybody with him. I think he's really grown as a leader in leaps and bounds. And I think that's what you got a chance to see with the offensive line, with the redshirt freshman playing tackle.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do the math in my head. If you think about that, about the time you're taking helicopters to Quinn's high school games, Phillip Daniels was probably a 5th or 6th grader, right? Roughly?
Yes.
Right?
That's pretty good. Yeah. The helicopter didn't work.
Yeah. Eventually it worked.
It was an investment. Like it was going to pay it forward. Yes. It was coming back to us after 3 years. It's like money in the bank, and it'll build as it goes, and came back in a really good way. Because I think somebody told me that when we first recruited him, didn't go, well, the helicopters didn't work. And I was like, yeah, true, good thing, because we used the helicopter on 2 recruits actually that night, and both of them we didn't get. So after that, I kind of threw the helicopter out and said, yeah, we're not going to use the helicopter anymore. And a lot of you were very excited about not using the helicopter anymore. So we haven't used it since.
That was a fun night either way. But you got Quinn Carroll certainly on the club now, having a big factor and a big impact. You mentioned the special teams player of the week, Dragan Kesic, and the importance of him. 3 times now in his career, he's been Special Teams Player of the Week, and he was named that this week. And you and I talked in the pregame show last week that they just get a little thin piece of paper, a certificate. Maybe you could put it in a frame when you win those things. But you've had this year a lot of guys now getting noticed. In an 18-team league, to have guys getting noticed week in and week out, that means you're playing winning football.
It is, and the guys are playing for each other. There's a difference between playing for each other and playing for something. You're always playing for and then blank. And if you're playing for something, that can be a lot of different things, and that can divide a team very quickly. If you're playing for each other, the somethings will come. And that's what this team has always bought into. Dragan Kesic misses the last-second field goal at North Carolina, and maybe the best thing that's happened to him in his career. And you see Cody Lindenberg sprint out to the middle of the field, and the first thing Cody says is, I love you. That's this team. And we need him to be able to make 4 huge field goals at Illinois, and he nails all 4 of them. We don't win that game without him and his resolve and his resiliency and his bounce back and rowing the boat. And he has had a positive attitude ever since then and just continued to get better and work through some of the difficulties that we all face. And I thought he did a great job of that. And again, you never arrive. You're never somewhere. You're always building and growing. But I thought he's done a great job of overcoming some of the issues he had at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and you think about whatever the misses were. I think 4 of the misses are over 50, and I think by a total of maybe 4 feet.
Yeah, that's the head coach's fault.
Just slipping to the right a couple of those. So it's not like he's shanking kicks, but it's nice when they go through the uprights.
Yeah, that just shows the confidence I have in him. Outside of 50, even 60, I have no problem putting him out there and knowing that it's going to go through the uprights. And when it doesn't, I'm kind of surprised. I know all of us are like, well, we should have went for it, or should have done this or that. I have tons of trust in him and what he's been able to do over the course of his career. And we'll continue to have faith in him.
So with Illinois' defense, we were talking just kind of as we were waiting for the plane with a couple of coaches about the difficulties that they put you in, where they make the picture kind of look the same, I think, is how they describe it. Then they do a bunch of different things. So how did Max do, and how did the offense do just working through that as the game went along?
Well, I think when we dissected it on offense, we didn't play our best football game on offense. When we went back and really lived in truth, and you compared it to the last few weeks, I didn't think we played up to the standard of what we can play at. Now, that doesn't mean that standard's not still high. Like, what we played at wasn't high. It just wasn't what our expectation is this late in the season from how well we've been playing. And I think the team understood that and saw that, but they still found a way to win and get the right points and the amount of points to win the football game, which is a real tough team. You got to give Illinois a lot of credit on that. There's not a lot of people who are dissecting that type of defense and putting up a lot of points. Even when you watch the Oregon game, I think they scored 35 points, but they only had about 7 possessions to do it. And they ended up scoring touchdowns on 5 of those possessions. But they keep everything in front of them. They're very, very complicated to dissect. They show you the same look and play multiple different fronts and then multiple different coverages. And they do it in an instant. And you've got to be able to dissect and process that information really quickly. And you got to give them a lot of credit. They're moving everywhere. They're a very good defensive football team, very well coached. That's why Ryan Walters, the head coach at Purdue, got the job from Illinois as a defense coordinator. Got a Big Ten head coaching job because of how unique that defense is. So you got to give them a lot of credit. They're a really good football team, and it was really who holds the chalk last and who holds the ball last has a chance to win, and we just made a game-ending play.
And on defense, you make the game-ending play with the sack fumble. On offense, Brosmer goes 4 for 5 on the game-winning drive. I believe that was the drive, right, that started with the 40-plus yard pass to Daniel Jackson. And, it was a great pass, but as a wide receiver, and you were a long-time wide receiver coach as well, how much fun in film study was it to watch how he kind of slow-played the play? If you watch the replay, the defender he's given up on the play because he has no idea the ball's coming because Daniel's just kind of coming along, slows down to make sure the ball lands, and the defensive back, after the catch was made, turned to his teammates and looked around like, where did that come from?
Yeah, he baited him. He baited him into thinking he wasn't getting the football, which is great. All he's doing is slowing down to be able to catch up to the football without showing that I'm going to go back for the football. Uses his body control, just changes a gear, goes from 5th gear down to about 3rd gear, and he's getting held on his right arm and just naturally just catches it over his left shoulder with one hand. I think that we have to appreciate like what some of these players are able or what they're capable of doing and what they're actually doing on every Saturday, because it looks effortless and it looks easy. It's very difficult to do what a lot of these guys are doing. And year in, year out, we've got some really big time playmakers that make huge plays. And Daniel's another one. He's going to leave as one of the greatest receivers ever in the history of University of Minnesota, along with Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman. I mean, guys like that. I mean, that's elite company right there as you continue to look at all the top 10 wide receivers at the University of Minnesota. And I think we've coached 5 of them in our last 8 years, somewhere around that. That's pretty impressive when you're looking at over the length of the course of what we've done in 100 and however many years. Those wideouts are having a really good tenure over this last 8 years, and really proud of the progress they're making and Coach Simon, the way he develops them.
All right, let's take a break. We'll continue to recap the big win on Saturday down in Champaign. We'll look ahead to this Saturday as well. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff. We'll take air at 9 o'clock Minnesota time. That is from New Jersey, Minnesota, and Rutgers. We also want to thank alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors. They should be on your team roster if you're buying or selling a business. Get your Sunbelt no-cost confidential business valuation started today. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com. And of course, as always, they are here on site and have their table. Thank you for the great support of Gopher Athletics. Stay with us. It's Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck from Learfield. Head coach Bob Motzko and Golden Gopher men's hockey are back at 3M Arena at Mariucci. Tickets are now available for all games this season. Get yours now at gophersports.com.
No matter who you are or what you do, there's a Ford vehicle that can help you own the day. Make life on the go a walk in the park with the new Ford Explorer. Become the MVP of the work site with the unrivaled performance of a new built Ford Tough F-Series truck, the best-selling trucks in America. Or discover what it really means to adventure in the great outdoors with the new Bronco Sport. Whether it's for work or play, there's a Ford with a great deal waiting at your local Northland Ford dealers. Don't wait. Get behind the wheel of a new Ford today. Based on calendar year total sales.
How much can you save when you shop Cub? Let's just say you might need a bigger cart. We've lowered prices so you save more. On Essential Every Day, it's easy to see the savings. Across the aisles, from pantry products to frozen foods to delicious dairy and more. Your family will love it, guaranteed, or your money back. Shop Cub and save today. My Cub, my way. See store for details.
Do you know how plastic bottles become shirts, shoes, or backpacks? What happens when your recyclables leave your curb? Can they really become something new? Visit WM.com to learn how WM helps turn your plastic bottles into everyday products, giving materials a second life. WM has the recycling infrastructure, innovation, and expertise to serve our Twin Cities community and care for our planet. The recycling process starts and ends with you. Visit WM.com to learn more.
Hey, Gopher fans. Ready to show your true colors? The University of Minnesota Bookstores has everything you need to gear up for game day. From the latest maroon and gold apparel to exclusive Gopher merchandise, we've got your fan essentials covered. Visit us in-store at Coffin Memorial Union or shop online at bookstores.umn.edu. University of Minnesota Bookstores, your one-stop shop for all things Gopher pride. Sky U Ma.
You can guarantee yourself a Minnesota maroon and gold win when you sell your business with Sunbelt Business Advisors. Sunbelt is a local alumni-owned company and proud sponsor of Gopher Athletics. Sunbelt provides business owner brokerage services to small businesses as well as mergers and acquisition services for companies up to $150 million in revenue. Are you thinking about selling? Sunbelt can help you make the most from your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com for a free confidential value range. Minnesota's largest seller of companies. sunbeltminnesota.com.
Kids, some days keeping up with them takes everything you've got. And in return, they give us everything they've got. At M Health Fairview Pediatrics, we've made it our life's work to care for kids. To do anything and everything we can for every kid who comes through our doors. Because the most important people in your world are our whole world. Learn more about a world of care just for kids at mhealthfairviewpeds.org.
Gopher fans, check out the spot for Gopher Weekly with PJ Fleck. The Tipsy Steer in High Pines in Roseville is a great place to watch the games with a large outdoor space to eat, drink, and hang out with your friends. Check this place out. Locally owned refreshing beverages and food sourced from area farmers, serving on menu favorites like bacon lollipops and armadillo eggs. The sassy menu also features brick oven pizzas and acclaimed burgers. Tipsy Steer in High Pines in Roseville, County Road C and Snelling in Roseville, or online at tipsysteer.com. Go Gophers!
The game against Iowa on September 21st recognized the 12th annual Celebrate Ag and Food Day at Huntington Bank Stadium. Both the game broadcast and the presentation inside the stadium celebrated the tireless efforts in the agriculture industry. Gopher fans, we can all be proud of the continued efforts, results, and talented people that work in these industries to provide a sustainable food supply with so many changing variables. The Gophers would like to thank the presenting sponsors of this event: CHS, Compeer Financial, Undeniably Dairy, and Beck's.
Dear autumn leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Toyota's lineup of cool, colorful vehicles is ready to ride by your side. Take on fall in a trail-tackling Tacoma or go for the powerful Tundra. Head to Toyota.com for more info or visit your local Toyota dealership today. Toyota, let's go places.
The fan favorite ticket and beverage deal returns to Gopher men's hockey at 3M Arena at Mariucci this season. Get your game ticket and first beverage in one convenient package. Available for every Friday night Big Ten matchup. Get yours now at gophersports.com.
It's now time for the AVR Remix on Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck. AVR. Promises made, promises delivered.
Rosemer with the tight end now lined up right behind him. It's a spin. The pass to the tight end all alone. Touchdown, Jamison Gears. And Minnesota's back out front. We saw that play against Bowling Green in Detroit for Gears' first college touchdown last year in Detroit. And he's got another TD today, his second of the season. And Minnesota back out front, 22-17. So 36 seconds to go. Minnesota by 8 from the 16-yard line. This is you can fire it into the end zone from here. Sack fumble! Striggle's got it! Joyner sacked him! Striggle recovered! What a pass rush by Joyner just at the right time.
There it is. is the AVR remix. A couple of exciting highlights. The 2 game clinchers, I guess, the go-ahead score and then the game the victory-preserving sack. Jaw Joyner didn't get a lot of reps as he continues to fight through some injuries. But, man, I think he just decided, look, I've had enough. We're going to end the game right here.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good football player. I mean, he started the game. I think everybody's banged up, bruised a little bit as you kind of get to this late in the season. But guys are fighting through an awful lot. We had a lot of different packages we wanted to use against Illinois. So we rotated a lot of different people, and I thought it turned out really well for us, being able to have a lot of versatility on defense in that game.
For those that didn't hear your press conference after the game, take us through the headset of the first play that we heard, the fake tush-push rollout to Jamison, and when you hear the play call and then the subsequent voices that were just kind of popping in your head, it sounded like, as they were confirming that, yeah, we like this. This is a good idea.
You know, I once in a while when I hear a call that it's like, like, not that I'm questioning it, just like, wow, okay, that's a good call or risky call or anything like that. I always say in the headset, it's just natural for me to go, we like this? Like, the guy, Coach Harbaugh called it because he liked it.
Yeah.
You don't call something, I don't really like this play. I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot.
Yeah. Just making sure you're listening, Coach.
But I think it's just for my own mind, my heart rate of just like, oh, well, you know, there's a little like frog in your throat. You kind of swallow and be like, we like this, right? And usually, like, guys will be like, oh, absolutely, Coach. And they were kind of like, yeah, of course we like it. I was like, all right, well, can I have an opinion on it? But you really don't. You just kind of, I like it. It's a great play call. It's a great play call, especially when it works. But it was a perfect design, perfect call in that situation. And like I said, I just, once in a while, I probably do it, I don't know, 3-4 times a game. Like, we like this, right? And I love what the responses I get, because I know when, you know, our guys are like, absolutely, Coach, we got a perfect look for this. This is going to be perfect, you know, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Then I'll be back in the headset. It's like, I thought we had the perfect look. But it's one of those things that you just kind of, you know, you want to make sure that we have everything, you know, all the T's crossed, all the I's dotted, and our staff does such a great job of that. And what a great play call in that situation. And we got a ton of other stuff off that too, which is great.
3rd and 2 at the Rose Bowl with Lemecki was another one of those, right? Where, we're going with this?
Yeah, because, you know, sometimes, like, my job is to manage the game, manage the down and distances, make sure everybody understands what situation we're in, what I'm thinking, where's the clock, how many more possessions we're going to have. And when we called the screen in Lemecki, it was 3rd and 2, and I thought, okay, we got 2 downs, because I said, you got 2 downs to get it. And a lot of times I say, hey, you got 2 downs to get this, you think run. You know what I mean? Just because you have 2 downs to get 2 yards, and if we can't get 2 yards and 2 runs at Minnesota, we got a problem, right? And that's how I've always felt. But when we called the screen, I was like, this is a great call. But, man, did he hear me? That I said we got 2 downs to get it? And it was a great call. But Greg's got such a good feel, and he doesn't need it's not, again, I want to make sure I make this clear. It's not a questioning of a call.
Right.
It's just emphasizing, here's the situation. We're all good with it. Everybody sees the same thing, and then we just move on. But, again, we don't call the call to sit there and go, man, I don't think this is going to work. You call it because it is the situation. That's what the guys are spending 60, 70 hours a week on, making sure that we have those right calls in those situations. And I thought Greg and the whole staff done a great job of that.
Speaking of calls, you ran a fake punt.
We did run a fake punt.
That one didn't go over the headset. That was just Mark Crawford.
But here's the thing. It didn't, but he always has that green light. They had 10 guys on the field. I'm not sure if you know that. So it's a perfect call. Like a perfect situation to do it. He catches it. He looks up. It's a sky punt situation where it's going to take a little longer to get off to give our guys a time to get down the field and cover the punt inside the goal line or right inside the 5-yard line. And he looks up and there's nobody there. It just happens that, you know, it's 4th and 14 or 12 or whatever it was. And the guy who actually makes the play is the only guy rushing the punt. And he kind of gets blocked by our guy and then kind of spins out of it and just kind of does this like little twirl. But then all of a sudden also he happens to just look to his left and our right and sees that Crawford took off. And he's their best defensive end. And so he talks him down at like 13.5 yards. And it was unfortunate, but I thought I'll do it all over again. I don't doubt that one bit. That was a great decision by Mark. He just wasn't able to outrun the fast defensive end that happened to twirl out of his block in a weird way, just enough to fall into the situation where he saw the fake. That's the best way I can describe it. So I don't regret it one bit. And he's got a green light. We haven't done it for years, but he has a green light in that situation. And if we get the first down, it's a great call.
Yeah.
And if you look at the replay, where they spot it and where actually he is very, very, very close. He just lets go of the ball. If he doesn't let go of the ball, I think we have the first down with his reach. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's a new point now.
We saw Mark on the plane, and he's like, man, am I relieved that we ended up winning the game? Because he did. He felt pretty bad about the decision, but that's part of the confidence you put in guys in that spot.
That's part of leadership. There's times you're going to be right, times you're going to be wrong, and you got to own it. And he's owned it 100%, but no one's blamed him.
Yeah,
I could have easily taken that and made it a red light.
Right.
I keep a green light on, and we communicate that green light. But I could have put a red light on that. But if he had the right look, why do that? It's a perfect look. I mean, that look is exactly what we're looking for, especially with 10 guys on the field. They're a man short. And they didn't rush the punt. The one guy that twirls out of his block and got luck, it just truly like luck. He just kind of spins around and sees him take off and cuts him off at an angle. So we got to work on our speed improvement at the punting position.
Yeah, well, I did ask him that, because the players wear those, what are they, the catapults?
Oh, yeah.
That let you know how fast you're running. And some NFL guys will run like 22 miles an hour. And I asked him, what's the fastest you've ever been clocked wearing one of those vests? And he says, I'm a punter, man. I don't wear those vests.
Well, the problem is he's in kilometers or whatever it is, too. He's in Australia.
He thinks he's faster.
Exactly. He thinks he's way faster. Maybe that's where I thought he was faster.
Yeah.
He's got Celsius. He's got kilometers per hour. Maybe I didn't do my conversion rate well enough on the catapult.
He gave you his rugby times when he was 21. Now he's 30-something. So things, it's a little different now.
It is. It definitely is. He's definitely a little different in his speed from when he got here to where he is now. Is the ripe old age of 30.
That's your assignment for Dan Nichols. Get that guy a little faster, a step faster in the weight room. Right?
Focusing on the wideouts, running backs. We're focusing on the wrong positions here. The punter is the speed improvement we need to be able to get better at.
You talked about Darius Taylor and Guardsy asked about the rushing game. Him and the passing game continues to be a big piece too, and we've many times talked about the fact he was a receiver in high school coming up through until his senior year when he became such a great running back as well. But it really is a weapon, right? I mean, the ability to use him in the passing game.
Yeah, we put a lot on his plate. Not only him, but Marcus Major and our backs. Put a lot on their plates, whether in the run game or the pass game and pass pro. Again, we have a pretty extensive offense. Over the years, we've changed and evolved into a lot of different things we can do offensively, very different than what we used to be. And you got to be a really smart player to play in the system. And I think our guys are doing a really good job of that. And Darius is handling everything on his plate and, takes care of his body in the right way. And he had 31, I think was it 32? 31, 30
touches,
30 touches, somewhere around there.
Yep.
Just in different ways. And if we can find ways to be able to continue to do that, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's take another break. We'll come back. We'll look ahead to this weekend. Rutgers, the opponent, 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. After this week, next week is a bye week. No game on November the 16th. We will have a show here, though, so please come out and join us as you always have. We'll have a couple of players. Remember, a few weeks ago, the first bye week, we had Max Brosmer and Daniel Jackson. We'll have a couple of different players. We're still working on finalizing which guys those will be, but we'll be here next Tuesday live noon to 1, so come on out during the bye week and enjoy lunch here at Tipsy Steer and High Pines. We also want to remind you there's one home game left. That comes up on the 23rd. Make sure to stop by the Gopher Garden. It's the pregame fan fest located on Oak Street outside the stadium. It starts 3 hours before every home game. 2 hours before every home game, it's the Gopher football pregame show with JG, and of course the Pride of Minnesota Marching Band pregame concert in that area as well. Lots of kids games. It's really a cool spot, the Gopher Garden. Let's take a break. It's Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck from Learfield.
You're listening to The Fan.
Welcome back. It's Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck. We're at the Tipsy Steer and High Pines in Roseville. Great crowd here. Minnesota's on a 4-game winning streak, and it is Rutgers this weekend, an 11 a.m. kickoff. We will take air at 9 o'clock, JG, with the pregame show, and we talked about the Illinois game, Coach, being kind of at times looking in the mirror. I would think this Rutgers matchup, as you get ready for it, might be a little bit of a looking in the mirror. Their defensive coordinator was an assistant for you. Your defensive coordinator was an assistant for them. They've got a couple of transfer players that were in this program. You spent time on that campus as an assistant coach under their current head coach, so there's a lot of straws there that intertwine.
And this is the 2024 season, right? Where it's its own individual entity, it's its own individual year. We got to find a way to be the best team we can be this week, and just keep focusing on us. And that's the message that we keep telling our players. Obviously, there's a lot of crossover, but when you look at it, it's its own individual year. We keep focusing on what we have to continue to get better at, and that's what this team has done. They keep playing for each other and just keep to that 1-0 type mentality and the growth mindset, and that's what we're all focused on.
When you go through, like, when we mentioned all the connections, when you know people personally or have worked with people, like, how much when you're scouting a team do you factor all of that in? Obviously, you can't go back 20 years and go, I remember in 1997 so-and-so did this, but familiarity with just how they want to operate or how they want to do stuff, how much does that go into it?
I think you use the knowledge that you know, but you also have to believe what the film says.
Yeah.
And I think if you rely too much on the other things that you know or have experienced or witnessed, you can sometimes get the film and try to manipulate something that's not real. So I think you've got to take it for what it's worth, combine both of them, but really the film is the film. I mean, that's this year's team.
Right.
It has nothing to do with what happened in the past. It has to do with this year's team, and that's what we're focusing on.
And in terms of the what they are, what are they? What do you see when you do watch them on game film?
Well, they're going to run the football. They've got a really, really good tailback, two tailbacks that are very, very talented. They got a big offensive line. I mean, their left tackle is about 6'8", 6'9", 355 pounds. Kind of looks like Daniel Falele out there. He's really big. Daniel's actually 40 pounds heavier. So, but they're really good. They're tough. They're aggressive. They're one of the running backs. Number 5 is kind of like Muhammad Ibrahim, really tough to bring down. Kind of like a bowling ball. We're going downhill with razor blades. Like he's just tough. They've got wideouts on the outside that can all play. Quarterback can distribute with the RPO game and the drop back game, and if he doesn't have it, he pulls it down and runs. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, they're a very aggressive style defense, and they got length, they got size. One of their linebackers is 6'5", 250 pounds. Think about that, one of their linebackers, and they're really big, really long, done a great job recruiting, and they have really good specialists. So we got to play really sound football, and it all starts with the ball. We got to find a way to get takeaways. We got to really protect the football, play sound, do what we do, but just do it better than we've done it before.
So a lot has been discussed about the post-game locker room at Michigan. I know you talked about it, I think, after Saturday, maybe talked about it a little bit yesterday. You have a quick decision to make when you're walking off the field at Michigan, how that's going to go. We know how the game ended. We know what happened after that. Like, as you're walking up that ridiculously long tunnel at Michigan, how quickly are you getting your thoughts together that this may or may not be a season-defining moment? It clearly seems like for you guys it has been. So what are you thinking as you're trying to prepare that and put all that together?
Well, I think you're doing everything you can, from finding a way not to be emotional, but understanding your emotions. I think there's a big difference between crossing the line into emotional and taking your emotions and doing what's right with them. And I think you have one chance to give a message that's either going to connect the team or it could divide the team. And you better be right. So you have about 45 seconds of a walk. If anybody ever watches us go back to the locker room, I take about 30 seconds. I peel off somewhere. Usually Heather's with me, talking some logic into me. And so is Garrett Chernoff. And we just kind of sit there, and sometimes they say nothing. They don't know what to say. And sometimes, they say the right thing at the right time. And I'm processing all this information, and I don't try to make it too much. Right? But you've got to come up with the message that's not just redundant. What are you going to say to them that sticks in their brain? When I walked in that locker room, there was nothing in my mind that was ever going to be negative. It was all going to be positive. But before I even walked in there, and I walked in that door, before I said a word, they did it for me. Because they were all crying. Not a dry eye. Everyone was embracing each other. Everybody's talking about how good we are. We have to believe how good we are. That was what was being said. And all I did was echo what they were saying. And this is going to be this is going to be a defining moment where we draw a line in the sand. Nothing's guaranteed. But from this point forward, we must truly, truly believe exactly what we say of how good we are, and not let things slide through and slip through our hands because we took a while to figure out how good we actually were, and we let the logo do the talking. We let the logo put in our brain that somebody was better than they were. And from that point forward, they didn't do that. And you can say that all you want as a coach. They're still influential kids, young people, and their minds are influenced. But they have to experience things to believe it. And that locker room, I truly think that was the moment they believed. Now, not everything after that's been, rainbows and sunshine and daisies. We've had to fight, scratch, claw. But when we've had to fight, scratch, and claw to get our way back in a game, they've learned from their past and learned from that lesson and applied it. And you have to go through those experiences in life instead of just somebody telling you what to do. You got to learn sometimes the hard way, and I think that hard way has been the right way for us over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
So you're talking the Michigan game in general, the helmet, dictating first half, second half, right? I mean, second half you guys played great. You're right there.
Yeah, but I don't even know if it had the helmet to do anything with. I think when you even look back at like North Carolina, we had a slow start in the first half.
Yeah.
We gave up a big explosive play in the second half, and you look at the Iowa game in the second half. It was just execution. It was the simple things. We fumbled the football inside our own zone at Michigan. We get a punt block because we just don't communicate. We don't say one word. That's all it took was one word. We assumed we knew that. When you see from that, I'm not saying we're playing perfect. We're not. But over the last however many, we haven't beat ourselves. And that's half the battle is not beating yourself. But in those games, and that's not disrespect to Michigan or people we've lost to, but we've cost ourselves the game at times because of what we have done more than what somebody's done to us. And listen, we played some really good teams and lost to some good teams. They earned their victory, but we did some things that were very non-like us. So why did we do it that way? You got to go back and dissect it. And I think since then, our guys have drew a line in the sand, and they understand how important the execution is and how every play influences a game. And, you have to go through that to experience it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and, in the history of sports, not just Gophers, there's been a lot of those kind of things. Hey, we're drawing the line, or there's a team meeting, a player's only.
I'm not saying anything that nobody said, right? I'm not saying anything. I'm not reinventing that, right?
Yeah.
You're right. Everybody says it.
And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes everyone will draw a line, and they still lose the next week.
You draw another line.
And then you draw another line. What was it, do you think, about this group that, was it confirmation? I mean, all of a sudden you beat USC, all of a sudden now it's, okay, now this is something. I mean, how much does confirmation play into that, okay, we just proved that we can do this?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's whoever's the head coach, what calls are you making to show how much you believe in them and putting it in their hands to go do something that maybe nobody thinks we can do, or can be a program-changing win or a season-changing win. What are we doing that way? It's smart, but then what are you doing to put in certain plays and different situations to give them the chance to go win it as a team? This goes all the way back to January, though. This isn't like Michigan, we figured it out. Mm-hmm. This team has always been a dangerous team because of how connected they are. They've not stopped being connected. They weren't not connected before Michigan. They've always been connected, but just because you're connected doesn't mean that you're going to win or it's promised that you're going to win. But the experiences you go through, they either tear you apart or bring you closer together. And because of their connection, the hard times they went through brought them closer and closer and closer. So the harder things we went through, the more connected we got. And the more connected we got, the better chance you have to win. Doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. We played some really elite opponents, but the execution got better as well. And I think it was that connection plus the execution, the understanding of how good we can be, all kind of came together. And again, we're not anywhere yet. Like, we haven't arrived anywhere. We're not somewhere. We're not there. We're not, like, we are just growing and developing. In 4 weeks, we'll look up and see where we are. And then we can judge ourselves. But right now, do it better, be better, learn the lesson, leave the event, live in truth. And that's what this team has done. It's fun to do it because it's fun to coach them because they actually do it. And I think that's the fun part of coaching, when they're doing what you coach them to do.
So when you came back to practice, whether it was Sunday or Tuesday, I mean, is it something instantaneous where you're like, all right, we've got the right stuff? You mentioned it goes all the way back to January, but after that tough loss at Michigan, you have to come back to practice at some point. Did you know pretty quickly that, all right, we're going to figure a way out of this?
I think there's a lot of ways. We all know how the Michigan game ended. And I think there's a lot of ways you can go in that. You can BCD, right? Blame, complain, and deflect. And put it on somebody else. Or A and E, which are on the bookends of BCD. You can take accountability, right? And you can become elite. And I think our guys did that and avoided the BCD part. And I think even that call, right, wrong, or indifferent, when against us didn't, connected the football team. Like, we're not going to leave it in the hands of somebody to make that call for us. We've got to go find a way to be able to make sure that we leave no doubt. And I think that's what it did more than anything on the field. And that was huge for us.
You guys have won 4 straight and are feeling good. Take me through the philosophy.
I love you.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Yeah.
The 4 straight
be good.
doesn't make us feel any better. And I know it sounds like coach talk, and I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And Grimmy's right. I mean, hopefully you feel good. You should as a fan.
I'm feeling good.
Good for you. You should feel good. This is about your experience too. But we have a job to do, and that job is just to get better. Like, just keep getting better. You can't sit there and look at what you've done. You can't. We celebrate that in the locker room on Saturday, which you all see. Some people that never follow our program, like, gosh, you celebrated that win like that, like it was the Super Bowl. We do that every single win. We did that when I was at Western Michigan when we had 1 win. And yeah, when you're 0-9, like, you celebrate that win like it is the Super Bowl. So, but we're not looking at it that way. Like we feel good. We just know that we want to play another game. We can't wait to play another game. They look forward to playing another game. But this week is going to be really tough on them because they've got to grow and do it better. So keep asking your question.
Yeah, well, that was my question, is to how do you handle, you have a philosophy. I know you don't believe in momentum, so how do you keep and maybe it doesn't matter, the feel-good feelings week to week? I mean, are you trying to say that, and we wouldn't want this, but your team would feel exactly the same on this Tuesday if it was a 4-game losing streak than if it was a 4-game winning streak?
I would hope they would.
Okay.
We coach them to. Now, whether human nature sets in or not, that's what you're avoiding. You're avoiding human nature either way. You're avoiding human nature if you're on a 4-game losing streak or a 4-game winning streak. Because either one is deadly, right? Either one can just crush a football team, right? You get too, you get too confident, you get cocky, and then bang, you get humbled. This team is humble enough to know anybody can beat us, but confident enough to know they can beat anybody. Mm-hmm. And when you have that, you got a really good formula, and that's what you got to protect. But this team went through a losing streak or lost some tough games and came back and won some close games. And you just got to keep it as the 1-0 mentality. And that's why we celebrated on Saturday, and then we celebrated on Sunday. And then literally we have our own process of putting leather vests on where they stand up and pretend putting leather vests to separate that. A new theme this week, different than last week's theme, which was so what? Last week's theme was so what? Yeah. Yeah, and the pumpkin piece. But it was just so what? And that was their mentality.
Yeah.
It's so what? We've done this or we haven't done this, just so what? Be the best football team we can be. I know it sounds really corny, but you got 120 young people and young minds that are wandering everywhere. It is so hard, and you have to be so on message and so on point with everything and not let one thing slide, or it just steamrolls downhill into comfort. Comfort is the enemy of progress. And we want to make sure that we just keep striving to be the best team we can be for each other.
So at the end of the day, the 1-game championship season is that's the whole point of this, right?
Yeah, because when you come in on Sunday, you can't tell whether we win or lose.
Yeah.
Besides that little pat on the back we give each other and put our leather vest on, that's the only difference. You cannot tell because it's not about the win or the loss. It's about how we got to the win and loss. And that's the only thing we can fix. I can't fix the result, but I can help fix the things we're not very good at. And that takes a ton of energy and a ton of commitment from young people, a staff, our operations staff, our recruiting staff. Everybody's got to be aligned in that type of belief system. And that's hard to do with humans.
All right, Guardsy, you're off to get your parking spot.
Thanks, sir.
Good work today.
See you, man.
We have one segment, so Guardsy's going to go. Everyone else stay put. We've got one more segment left. It's Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck from Learfield.
Dear Autumn Leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Toyota's lineup of cool, colorful vehicles is ready to ride by your side. Take on fall in a trail-tackling Tacoma or go for the powerful Tundra. Head to Toyota.com for more info or visit your local Toyota dealership today. Toyota, let's go places.
The game against Iowa on September 21st recognized the 12th annual Celebrate Ag and Food Day at Huntington Bank Stadium. Both the game broadcast and the presentation inside the stadium celebrated the tireless efforts in the agriculture industry. The Gophers would like to thank the following participating sponsors: Ag Country Farm Credit, Bushel Boy Farms, Hormel, Minnesota Biofuels Association, Minnesota Corn Growers Association, Minnesota Soybean, and Brownfield Ag News for their continued support.
Are you looking for concert or sports tickets? As a local Minnesota company, Ticket King is a company you can trust. They have seats to fit every budget and even offer parking or tailgating passes, and all tickets are guaranteed. Each order is personally attended to by one of our dedicated customer service representatives who are committed to providing you with a courteous, professional, quick, convenient experience. Visit us at ticketkingonline.com or call us directly at 612-341-4131.
Gopher fans, when you want to get around Gold Country safely, securely, and on time, call Carey Minneapolis St. Paul. Carey Limousines, a global leader in business travel, offering a world-class fleet and reservation staff who make sure you arrive on time, every time. The team's available 24/7, so give them a call whenever you're ready to travel. 612-623-0565 or visit the webpage, CareyMPLS.com. And go Gophers!
This message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished.
Well, thanks to the great wait staff here every week as well. They do a fantastic job. Give them a round of applause here at the Tipsy Steer in High Pines. Also, Jared Wells, our on-site engineer. Michael Tackett is our studio producer. Paul Rovnak with Gopher Football. Garrett Chernoff, Chandler Bunning, and the First Lady of Gopher Football, Heather Fleck, is here as well. So thanks to everybody on that note. Minnesota and Rutgers, 11 o'clock Saturday morning. We'll take air at 9, JG, on the pregame show. It struck me, Coach, when you talked about the message always having to be on point when you've got 100, 110 players on the team. And on this day, Election Day, I wonder how that is when we're in a society politically that seems to be, there's some divisiveness on occasion, right? And when you got 105 or 110 kids, how do you handle that? Are you encouraging all your guys to get out and vote? Do you ignore it? Do you talk about it? I'm sure there are people on your team, on the roster, that have all kinds of varying backgrounds. We know that. We've talked about the melting pot nature of the locker room in a football locker room, but certainly all kinds of different political beliefs, societal beliefs, cultural beliefs, all that stuff. So I'll leave it open to how as a head coach do, if at all, you talk about the importance of the vote.
I think it's been well said and well documented that we talk all the time about what society should look like is just open a football locker room and go inside there, especially ours. Not everybody is from the same place, makes the same money, same lifestyle, same religion, same financial upbringing, same demographic, same religion, but they're all putting all of that aside for each other for something bigger than themselves. And I think that's what our country's missing, period, right? Just everybody rowing that boat, right? With each other in the same boat. We're in the same boat. We're in the same country, right? And I don't mean to preach, but it's amazing when you look at a football locker room, we can fight what we call human nature and what our society is to bring people together for one common purpose. So within our program, we educate them to go vote. That's the single way to make your presence felt as an American. And we can have all of our differences. That's fine. But we're all Americans, right? And we do what we can not to go overboard on one side or not talk about it and ignore it. I think we have a really good balance of it, of making sure that your voice is heard through going out and voting. That's the best way to do it. And then find ways to go make this country better by taking what you learn within our culture and our program, what you've learned from your family members, to go do something in your community to connect other people. And it's a small act. The small acts of kindness connect so many. Just keep doing that and living that way. And that's what today's all about. It's about finding a way to move forward and be able to make our country better. And everybody has their right to be able to believe what they want. And that's what makes us the greatest country in the world, is everybody can believe what they want and go out there and vote the way they want. But no matter what happens, like we're still living in the same country, and keep connecting to each other. And I think that's what the message we give our players.
All right. Great work. Great message.
Yeah, go
Everybody
America.
Get out and vote. All right. It's Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck from Learfield.
Put the phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Live from Tipsy Steer and High Pines, Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck has been presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com. Gopher Football Weekly with PJ Fleck has also been brought to you by Tipsy Steer and High Pines, located at County Road C in Snelling, proud sponsor of Gopher Football, and by Cub, the official grocer of Gopher Athletics. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Gopher Sports Network.